Everybody, and welcome to Friday Night Flock Talk with Robin and Jack. I'm Robin Sullivan from the Leather Elves, and this is Jack Klein from my Redboard. Hey, Jack, how are
Hey,
you?
Robin. I'm
Things
good. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. It's warming up here, and you can't tease me anymore about snow because it's done.
I feel
You
like
know,
I do the same thing in hurricane season, and as soon as I say that, there's a hurricane next week. So
yes,
enjoy your blizzard next week.
no, I will not. I will not enjoy. If there is one, I refuse to. So I want to welcome everybody. It's great to be here on Friday nights. We have so much fun doing this with you guys. Jack, what kind of reminders do we have this week?
All right. So we obviously have, the reminders we give you every week. If you guys are just tuning in for the first time here on the Leather Elves page, you can always see these live streams on the Leather Elves page. We encourage you guys to be a part of the live stream, to ask us questions. So if you have not already, make sure that you like the Leather Elves page on Facebook, because then every time we go live, you'll get a notification letting you know that we have started a live stream. Plus, you get all of the sale information and all the other fun things from the Leather Elves page, which is awesome. Now, if you do miss any of the live streams, if you have work, if you have prior engagements, things that you can't, lie to get your way out of, because we know you'd rather be on the live stream with us, but sometimes you have to do other things. You can always go to the Hi Redbird YouTube page. All of the videos are not only put up there, they're also put up there on a playlist. So you can go through and see any of the videos that we have done in the history of us doing those videos, which is actually getting to be quite a few different videos. I know, right? We've been doing this for a little bit. So there are some things you can check out. We do want to remind people that we do have a challenge for you guys going on. We would like to see at least 50 people at the same time. We have gotten so many views by the end of the live stream, but we would like to see 50 all at the same time. So if we can hit 50 people all at the same time, we will be giving away one of the shirts from the Hi Redbird threadless store. So there's a couple of different designs. So we can, go ahead, pick out one of those. Now, if we don't hit that tonight, or if you don't know if you're going to win, if you just want one of those shirts, you can always visit highredbird.threadless.com, pick out your shirt now, get another one if you win. But we want to point that out. Remember that we do give out prizes every single week. We do trivia. We do all sorts of fun things with you guys. Some of the prizes we have given away have been consultations for enrichment, for all sorts of other things. So if you guys have won a consultation in the past, and you haven't signed up to do that with me and Robin yet, we just ask that you reach out to one of us so we can go ahead and get those set up. We do have a couple of consultations waiting in the wings. So we're just waiting to hear from you guys when you would like to set those up. So if you have already won a consultation, make sure you set that up. If you haven't already won a consultation, make sure you keep signing in for our live streams, because we give away a prize every single week. Sometimes it's a consultation, sometimes it's a toy, sometimes it's a registration for something really, really fun. Have we ever given away a Target pole yet? Or a Target
We
stick?
could.
Sorry.
We
We could
could.
definitely give away Target sticks. We are happy to encourage you guys, to provide you guys with what you need to be successful. So we definitely encourage you guys to try to help us hit those goals. So share these videos with your friends, encourage them to log on with you, because you can have a fun night with all your bird friends, even if they're all across the country. You can still sign in, watch the live stream. So those, I think, are
I
all the reminders that we have.
I
Unless
want
I
to give a
forgot
shout
something.
out to You might have, but I want to give a shout out to Diane Hyde. Diane posted today on Facebook inviting all her friends to join her for date night. So thank you, Diane. I want to, send that out there to you. Diane is a loyal viewer, so we got to give her some props for that. And we do also have, we want to remind you guys about our conference coming up. We've got the BETS, Place Your Bets Conference, Behavior Enrichment Training and Science. And so that will be coming up on June 11th through the 13th. We've got the speakers lined up. We've got some really cool stuff going on. We have two live workshops that Jack and I are going to lead, and we're sending out materials for the workshop. So there's just a lot going on as far as that conference is concerned. So we're really excited. But if you want to sign up and make sure you get your materials in time, I suggest that you do it sooner rather than later, and absolutely before May 31st. Okay, so tonight we've got this was going to be a fun topic. We wanted to have some fun. The last couple that we've done have been a little serious. Be serious, Jack. Serious.
Yeah.
So they've been serious. We wanted them to be fun. So we wanted to talk about fun and games, things you can do with your bird that engages you and your bird. It's not just, oh, I put that in and I gave him something to do and he was happy about it. He had some fun. We want everybody having fun. It shouldn't have to be rocket surgery to have fun. Definitely not. Right, Diane? So we talk a lot about what our birds play with. How do they play? What do they do? And so play is such a relative topic. And I wanted to talk about if it was important or not. I really think it's very important because birds in the wild do play. There are studies that show that they make time for play. And your guys who are in the aviary, Jack, do you see play with them? Do they play amongst themselves?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you see all sorts of difference in their socialization, the ways that they interact with each other. I have seen multiple budgies, multiple green cheeks. I have in my aviaries, mulberry trees, which when they're coming in, the branches on those mulberry trees can be a little bit more supple. I have seen these birds hanging on them, bouncing on them, and they're not trying to accomplish something. It's not like they're trying to reach for some kind of food. It's not like they're trying. They're just having fun.
Mm-hmm. And so that brings up a really good point. Is birds in the wild, when they play, they're building skills. They're actually developing survival skills. When they manipulate things, they're building their coordination. When they do mimicry, a lot of people think that mimicry is just something that birds in captivity do, and it's absolutely not. Mimicry is part of learning from the adults in their flock and the other birds in their flock how to behave. It's not just about the vocalizations, it's about the behavior. What am I supposed to do? And they kind of look around, oh, okay, that's what's supposed to happen. And a lot of that happens through play. They also will learn about their environment through play. That investigative, like when they're looking around, checking things out, that's a form of play as well. And so I think we really need to work with them to get them to engage in play. I mean, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it's such an important thing. For me, it provides mental stimulation. I mean, we always talk about how intelligent our birds are. We know that companion citizens are going to be some of the smartest companion animals that you can have. So there's definitely a reason why they are that smart. They are built to have that degree of curiosity and interaction with their environment, that degree of interaction with each other. And we, need to help provide that if they are in a home environment. Play also provides that physical stimulation. I mean, our birds, if they are in a home, are not having to, I almost feel like birds in the wild are like Iron Man competitors because you got to fly this many miles and then you got to take these things apart. Like there's a list of challenges before you get fed at the end of the day. And we don't want to, create perch potatoes at home. Our birds need to get a little bit of exercise. They need to get moving. for all the same reasons that it's good for us. It makes us healthier. It, helps with our mood, with our interaction with the world. It helps our birds the same way. So, I mean, play is one of those things that is so incredible. And for me, the most important part is you have this tiny dinosaur in your house and you get the opportunity to play with it. Like, who doesn't want to
Mhm.
do that?
I mean, think about Jack and I joke about this all the time that zookeepers go and, do the, can I touch that? Can I play with that? Can I touch that? How about that one? Can I touch that animal? I really want to touch that. And it's things that, guests never get the option to do. And they don't have, they shouldn't. And the zookeeper shouldn't either. So there are opportunities that you get as a bird owner that so many people never ever get. And it builds that relationship, it builds that trust. And if you're playing, I mean, that's a very natural thing to do. Um, you know, so Megan's green cheeks idea of fun is eating my fingers. Yeah, we're working on that, Megan. We're going to teach them some different games. That's the key right there, because we want Megan to have fingers that are usable, so that she can sign on to the live streams and be able to use her computer without just voice commands. So you're building that relationship, you're building that trust, and it's also active time. You mentioned the perch potato, and we don't want that. I mean, it's okay. So if I see one more Facebook post about people's birds being hormonal, I may have to shut down my Facebook. I'm just saying. It's a fact of life. Yes, it's hormone season. Yep, in most of the world and most of the country, but we've got yeah, there are butterflies. I know, right? Like, okay, so yeah, so that's what's going on. Those butterflies everywhere. It's hormone season, and then we've got people. So I took my bird to calm him down, and I held him on the couch, and I, stroked his wings. Wait, what? You did what? So instead of that snuggly time, maybe we play a game. Maybe you engage with your bird on a different level, and it's a much healthier level. So I think we really, want to encourage you guys to do that, to have that you can still have that great relationship. You can still, interact and just kind of cut down the snuggle time a little bit. So Mary's Tweety likes to learn to talk. That's awesome, Mary. It's great. It's a way to interact and build that relationship. And, you're getting that positive reaction. So it's really good. So
Well,
the
and I
other
think
thing
it's
you wanted.
important to point out here, just because we are getting a couple of people saying different things that their birds like doing, that just as we have told you guys before, every single bird is going to be different. They are going to like different things. They're going to gravitate towards different things. So we're going to walk you through a couple of different things that you can do, that you can try. They may or may not work out for all of your birds because, like we like to say, it really is a study of one. So you need to take a look at your bird, your setup, your circumstances, find out what your goals are, and try to come up with a plan that meets all of those criteria.
Mhm. And Patricia brings up a really good point, that sometimes close contact is the safest with some hormonal birds. Absolutely. It's, we talk to people about, and I doing like the behavior consults and things like that. Generally, I will start out with some protected contact, and people are like, oh no, you only have to work protected contact with like elephants and tigers and stuff. Well, the bite on that bird, yeah, there's a lot of bite pressure there, but that's not the only reason. It's better for the bird in some cases. If, it's a particularly difficult time, maybe you interact through the cage. It's not a crisis. If
And
for a little while, that's what happens.
another important part about protected contact, because I know people think so, as Patricia was talking about, closed contact, protected contact, basically having some sort of barrier between you and the animal. In the case of a bird, it would usually be something like the cage wire. Not
Mhm.
only is that safer for you if you have a bird that is lunging, biting, anything like that, you can work with that bird without the risk of those bites. It is also safer, usually more stress free for the bird, for the animal in question, because they're not worried that you're going to try to grab them, do anything that they're uncomfortable with. If they want to step away from you, they can move back away from the wire. So that gives the freedom to have choice to both you and your bird. And most experts will tell you that having that ability to choose to interact or not, your animals are going to do better. You are going to do better. Everybody wins in that situation.
Absolutely. I mean, it's all about choice and empowerment. The different skills that we build through playing games, through training to play games, all of those things help to empower your bird and give them that choice. And if you are aware of their body language, if you're aware of what they're telling you, what they're communicating to you, it's a much better environment for that bird. And for you as a pet owner, it's definitely something that giving them that choice is really great animal welfare. And that's something that, we throw that term out every now and then, but at the root of everything that Jack and I have been talking to you about is good animal welfare. And so I think, that's a great suggestion, and I do appreciate that, Patricia. Thank you. So let's talk about some games. The games birdies play. Can you say? Oh, I thought you were going to sing. I was kind of excited there for.
No,
Okay. All
no.
right. Next time you guys, I'll get them to sing next time. I promise. Um, or maybe not. So you want to adapt games so you can play them with your bird. I had someone send me some pictures, believe it or not, of their bird. Well, this is Miho. Miho lives with Sid Price. And this Miho likes to pull that. We put stuff inside the ball, and Miho will pull it up and then take the food item out. And it's another form of a retrieve. And for those of you that don't know Sid is a wonderful trainer. He's out in New Mexico. I was lucky enough to serve on the board of International Avian Trainers and Educators with Sid. And so this is Miho, who lives with Sid, just playing a game. And, you fill it up, he pulls it up. There's that interaction. And it took a little bit of training to get him to do this, but it's a really easy behavior to work on, because the food item it's kind of bribery, but it works. Have you ever tried that with any of your guys, Jack?
So, I mean, we've talked about ideas like this before with so many different birds on so many of the different topics we've done when we've tried to encourage exercise and things like that. Putting foods in places that you don't normally think of, that is not right next to the perch where the bird can easily get at it. If they have to move around for it, if they have to stretch for it, like one of my favorite things to do, I have perches and I can put a skewer on the side of the enclosure that's not quite close enough for the bird to easily reach. But I mean, if they stretch, they work for it, they can actually get it. I've done that with the umbrella cockatoos. You guys have seen Grayson and Mika. We love to show them off here. And Grayson will actually reach with his beak, grab the skewer, pull it, and hold it with his foot so that he can then have really good use of it. So think about different ways that you can put food in your animal's enclosure so that they have to work for it, because in the wild, they would have to work for it. So it's a completely natural, normal thing for them to do.
Absolutely. So this guy is playing with a toy from Hari, the Hagen Avicultural Research Institute. I don't even know if they have this toy anymore. But the point of this photo was that toys aren't just to hang in the cage. You can take a toy and put it on the tabletop and work with your bird to do foraging, work with your bird, do some training, do some color identification. It's all based on just, a toy that you can purchase. And it's not, it doesn't say on it, use as a training tool, use on the table. You can adapt those toys to make them more interactive. This is, Jack, as far as like training, have you ever had to train a bird how to play?
Uh, Most definitely. I have gotten in birds from all points of their life. I have hand raised birds. I have gotten birds that, have bounced around to different rescues because they had what were termed problematic behaviors. Maybe they had feather mutilation, maybe they had all sorts of other issues. So, yeah, sometimes you may need to train your animal to play. You may need to train and encourage them to forage, to utilize toys, to do all of those things. And I would say, uh, you know, it is natural for a bird to, gravitate towards those things. Our birds are curious. They do like to try to play with things. Um, but sometimes what can happen is if your bird has been conditioned from previous homes that it's not going to get toys, it's not going to get that level of interaction. Sometimes you just need to put that little bit of work into it to get your bird to learn. I will tell you guys right now, if you get in a bird that did not ever play with toys, if it seemed scared of toys, if it didn't really want to interact with them, if you had to move really slow introducing those toys to the enclosure, the very first time that bird plays with a toy on its own, you are going to lose your mind. It is that magical feeling of, I have had a profound influence on this animal's life. Like, I have made a difference. So we understand it can be a lot of work. It can be very frustrating getting your animals used to new things, but I promise you, it is so worth it.
Absolutely. And it's that work that goes into it that also helps build your relationship. We've had to train birds how to play. This is Star. Star is owned by Lauren Smith, or shares the life with Lauren Smith, and Star is 9 months old. Lauren is working with Star on playing tic-tac-toe. Lauren lives up in the Pacific Northwest, and this is Star goes through, and they built this just for Star, and Star moves the pieces around. And I'm not exactly sure of the training method here, but I just think this is so much fun because this is something you can do. You can interact with your bird. You can play a game of tic-tac-toe. For those of you that aren't familiar or have never heard of Bob Bailey, Bob Bailey teaches a course called Chicken Camp, and it's about training birds and training chickens. And back in the day, Bob and his wife built they were vending machines, or like a vending machine setup that you put a quarter in, it let a chicken out, and then you could play tic-tac-toe against the chicken. I've seen one in my life, and it was at Monterey, on the boardwalk, and the chicken comes out and like hits a button, and the O lights up, and then you pick a letter, and um, I used to always lose against the chicken. I don't know what that says, but yeah. I tried, but the chickens are pretty smart. So this is great, Lauren Smith. I want to thank you for sending us pictures of Star. And Star is going to probably be even smarter than the chicken. So I'm kind of hoping I don't run into Star and Star doesn't want to play tic-tac-toe.
Well, and I think I want to challenge everyone who is watching today, because we do have a lot of people telling us about all of the fun things that they do with their animals. We would love to showcase your birds as part of our stream. So if you guys have cool photos of birds interacting with Enrichment, birds doing training, anything like that, if you send that to me and Robin, if we are covering a topic that is going to, hit on those topics, we would love to include the photos of y'all's birds. And,
Mhm.
then you get to see your birds on screen too, which is, then they're famous.
Their names up in lights. So taking regular games, just simple games that you would play. And then the cool thing is trying to figure out how you would train that behavior. And so you've got to kind of break it down. We talk about small approximations. So you take these games and you break them down into little pieces. And that's how work with your bird and train your bird to play a game with you. And it's fun. It's a challenge for you as well. Jack and I were discussing what was the motivation for Star to do that. And I think, it could be food under just the O's or something like that. So Tracy's going to put Star up against the computer from War Games. That's a little terrifying, putting our fate in the hands of a parrot. I suppose it's been scarier before, but, we're going to go with that. Okay. So when you get that done, Tracy, we want to see it. Mary's bird likes to play with bells. So I would build in some way to maybe play a song with bells or something like that. You can adapt the kind of things that you like doing, that your bird likes doing, and turn it into a game.
Yeah, and I mean, you can think about, so they built that tic-tac-toe set, but one of the really nice things, if you go to the pet store, you are not limited to the bird section when you go to look for enrichment items and things like that. So I like the dog section. A lot of places are actually building really nice heavy duty plastic toys for dogs where they have to do all sorts of puzzles in order to get small treats. Many of those can be easily modified for parrots, depending on the size of the bird. You can also take a look at things like toddler toys, toys that are typically made for small primates that maybe like to chew and destroy things and always maybe try to swallow things, because that's obviously a concern we have with our birds as well. So those items are going to be a little safer. Maybe you could get, if you have a bird that likes bells, maybe like a small piano or a small xylophone, something that generates those different sounds. So it's all about just how you're going to think about that. But there's so many options there.
And Mary, if you get a chance and you have time to look at the session with Danny, who will be she's a speaker at the conference. The session we did with her on the Friday night Flock Talk, they did a training session with one of their birds where they did teach it to play like a kid's piano. So if your bird likes bells, Mary, that might be an option. And you can usually find that kind of stuff in thrift shops. Just make sure it doesn't have any paint or anything like that on it. But you can certainly adapt those kind of things. And it's paying attention to your bird and seeing what it is they interact with the most, what it is they seem to, and what you perceive as them enjoying something. And then you take that and you modify it and you create a game out of it so you can play a game. So there's a lot that can be done with different things. So we want to challenge you guys a little bit tonight, right, Jack?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I think this is a challenge for you guys, but it's also an answer to a challenge that a lot of people may face, because we'll keep coming up with ideas. Maybe try this, maybe try this, maybe try this, and a lot of people will be like, I didn't know that was an option. I didn't think of that. Some of us with enrichment can get stuck in a rut of always doing the same things every single time. But I think, Robin, you have a solution for that, don't you?
I do, because I used to get stuck, especially when I was setting up programs for zoos and facilities. I get stuck in the favorites trap. So you get something for your bird or your animal, and you get what I call the fireworks response, right? And it's awesome, and the bird's playing with it. And so when that one's gone, you have to run to the store and get another one just like it and put it in the cage. And and again, it's wow, this is great. And then it's gone. So you go to the store and you get another one and you put it in the cage, and it's meh. What happened? This was the favorite. So I call that the favorites trap. When you get stuck in the favorites trap, it's time to roll the dice. That's my rule. So we're going to play the roll the dice game tonight. There are two dice. I'm never sure which it
Dice.
is. Two dice. Okay. So you roll the dice, and actually Nick's going to help us roll the dice. And the first one is the enrichment category that it's going to be from. And the other one is the materials category. Now, Jack, you do this one a little bit differently, right? You don't do an enrichment and then material.
Right. So, and like a couple of things that you can change here. So obviously Robin has given you a chart on how to do this. So if you've never done anything like this, start here because it's a great starting point. But you can see we are using six-sided die, a six-sided die for both categories. If you need more, there are more dice. You can get up to 20-sided dice pretty regularly. So
I gotta interrupt
always...
you.
Uh-oh.
I have to interrupt you because Tracy commented that she grabbed her Dungeons and Dragons dice. So Tracy's got those 20-sided dice if we need that. Okay, go ahead.
No, so if you were going to go with this approach and you wanted to include more materials, if you wanted to paper and cardboard be separated, if your bird particularly likes certain items, maybe you could apply paper or cardboard to, numbers 1 through 3. So you still skew it a little bit. So that's one way you can do it. Now, I do this a little bit different because I have a category and then I have subcategories. So that's going to tell me how I am enriching my animals, because when I'm taking care of a large I love thinking up new enrichment for my animals. I love coming up with really, really fun, novel things for them. And sometimes I need to run to the feed store and I need to run to the grocery store and, oh, hey, this fence panel needs to be replaced. And I have to do, 15 other things in a day while also providing enrichment for my animals. So sometimes I don't even want to really think about it. So I will have a category and then a subcategory. So I'll break down each of those categories to particular items. So let's say I roll the dice, and on my first roll, I get a 3. So that would be auditory enrichment. Now, instead of having materials, I am going to have a list of different types of auditory enrichment. So then I roll the next die. If I roll a 4, hey, that's smooth jazz. The birds are going to listen to smooth jazz today. So that's one way that I can do it that just takes the strain off of me. I still have the opportunity to think about fun enrichment, to come up with it, but it also makes it really easy when I need to know what I'm going to do. Roll the dice, I'm done.
There you go. And you do know, Jack, that the one music type that is detrimental to birds is country music?
I did not know that.
Yeah. So
is it really?
You should know.
Oh, I don't include it on the list because it's detrimental to me, but...
Exactly. It's not detrimental in any way, shape, or form, but I am on a crusade to make that happen across the world. So we're going to give this a shot. All right, Nick, can you roll them? There we go. Look at Nick. He's awesome. We're taking Nick to Vegas. We really are taking Nick to Vegas. Snake eyes. All right. So if we look at this, we've got in the enrichment category, we've got visual enrichment, paper, and cardboard. All right. What do you guys think? Throw up those suggestions. Let's see what you can come up with. What do you got for this one, Jack?
So for me, the first thing that comes to mind, if I have to come up with visual enrichment using paper or cardboard, one of the things that I like to do, remember, visual enrichment is not necessarily just your bird seeing something novel. Using a visual barrier, hiding their vision, can also be a part of visual enrichment. So I would take, I usually do this with sheets of newspaper. I'll fringe knot it on the sides of a cage so that it's a little bit more difficult for the bird to see through one side of their cage. So that is a really easy thing to do. Obviously, if you didn't want to go through the trouble of fringe knotting it, if you just had a piece of paper and you wanted to hang it up on one side of a cage, that would give you that visual barrier. So that would be one thing that you guys could do.
And we've got Joanna suggested colorful paper. Absolutely. It's visually stimulating. Adrian suggested coin wrappers. You can hide things inside colorful paper. Sometimes they'll be drawn to one type or another. So it's that visual pop that happens. And when we think about our birds, they're so wonderfully colorful. And so if we can add a little bit of that to their, day-to-day enrichment, that's a great way to do that. Adrian also suggested finger traps. So Don't give them to people that don't know how to use them. I'm just saying it can be dangerous. You start your day at work and you go to give enrichment, you stick your finger in those finger traps and you can't do anything for the rest of the day. But they do have colorful ones.
Well, like, and then another really easy. Okay, so I do this. I will admit to it. I don't know who else does this. When I am changing out the paper on the underside of my bird's cage, usually I like to do a couple of layers because I like to make sure it's sturdy. So when I roll it up, I'm not, going to drop anything, make a mess, anything like that. I always try to make sure that the top layer, the layer the bird is going to see, is either maybe the comic section, or it's going to be something that's bright and colorful. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, no, my bird's going to like looking at this before they poop on it. So please tell me somebody else does that, and I'm not just crazy. I mean, I know I'm crazy, but please not for that reason.
Well, I'm thinking it's a reading material in the bathroom is where we're going with that one. I'm just saying, all right, so we need to move on. Nick, you want to roll those die again for us, please? All right, let's see if Nick's truly going to Vegas. Maybe not. So dietary and well, look at that. That worked out well. So dietary enrichment. It's almost on the bottom. Wild is on the bottom just because that's, not a specific category, but dietary ends up on the bottom because you don't want to fall back on dietary. It's probably the easiest category because, who doesn't like a good treat, right? But if you want to do dietary with treats, Patricia hides the obituary. I love it, Patricia. That's awesome. So no obituaries on the bottom. That's just depressing. So if we're trying, what have we got for dietary and treats? We're not just going to hand them over. What can we do as far as that's concerned?
So if you guys can come up with ideas that you would use dietary enrichment and treats to stimulate that. So I like to think of different things that my animals are not necessarily getting all the time. So I've actually showed you guys how to make a foraging feeder using a bottom piece of celery. So you can take the food items, your animal's natural diet that it's normally getting, hide it in something that is also edible, desirable. So that could be a great way to utilize those things.
I will tell you, Jack, I was talking to someone that I'm working with on some behavior stuff, and they said their bird is pretty fearful about new things. And they did the celery with the treats in it, and it was a big hit. So A+ on that one. So what have we got? Millet bites. We've got foraging comes to mind for me, first of all. Tracy, I love veggie skewers. Love it, love it, love it. One of the workshops we're doing for the Bets conference is a skewer workshop. So veggies on skewers is wonderful because you can put them in the bowl. You can absolutely put them in the bowl, but they've got to work a little bit harder. It's that contra freeloading dynamic that we talk about. Yes.
I love that Lori fills an artichoke with different pieces of chop. So, Lori's birds are a little bit fancier than mine. I do celery and lettuce because I'm kind of cheap.
We've already determined that Lori's birds are fairly spoiled, so it's okay. Big food in forager cages. Adrian. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead with this real quick, and then I've got something.
I was just going to say, so Adrian makes what I used to call ants on a log. When my son was little, you do the celery and you put things on it. And so this pine nuts, almond pieces stuck into carrots she has artichokes too. We're just not classy enough for this group, Jack. That's the problem.
Well, and you can do that same idea with, if you have softer things, if you have almonds, you can push them into zucchini. You could push them into apples, into papaya. So you can create all of these items as foraging toys. So, I mean, the sky really is the limit. You guys have come up with a bunch of things and you all got the same dice roll. So I think that's one of the really cool things about this. Now,
Yeah.
Melissa asked a little bit ago, she was like, how frequently are you using this? Are you using it weekly, daily? Now, I would say, and then we'll get Robin's opinion. Yeah, I'll give you your chance. Don't worry.
Thanks.
Um, I um, I would say it's going to depend on what your setup is. So for me, if I'm trying to help somebody come up with an enrichment plan, one of the things I encourage them to do is sit down and write down what they are planning, because we all have lives. We all have things that we have to do. We have days that work better for some things, days that don't work as well for others. So figure out what your schedule is. If you are doing a training session Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I mean, training is one of the best forms of enrichment, interaction, socialization that your bird is going to get. So I would say just figure out that. Use the dice roll as needed. It can help give you ideas. It can help randomize your ideas, because when you're writing things down, when you're recording them, you can realize that without even thinking about it, you have fallen into a pattern. And yeah, every Monday, if I'm not thinking about it, I give newspaper to the birds because they like to chew it up, and the big newspaper comes in on Sunday. So, I mean, Robin, what do you think?
I think, I know Melissa changes out her cage, on once a week on Fridays. She changes things around. This Melissa is, and for everybody, is more of a, I want to do something a little different, tonight when I get home from work. I want to interact a little bit. Well, let me roll the dice and see what we can do. And it's not just putting the same old toy in. It's changing up your routine. So Melissa, I know you do training really consistently, and which is, we've about that so many times, that consistency is really important. And, it doesn't have to be exactly the same time every day. It just has to be, you're doing it on a regular basis, whatever your schedule allows you to do. With the roll of the dice, maybe Melissa, you could adapt it, or anybody, you could adapt it and do, what am I going to work on training tonight? What game am I going to play with the bird tonight? You can add all those things, enrichment category, training material. So maybe you're going to train them to be on a rope perch. Maybe you're going to train them to try a different treat. And so you can add whatever categories, add, subtract, what works for you. Just don't get stuck in the same old, same old. It's about the randomizing your enrichment offerings. So let's give it one more shot, Nick. You want to roll those again, please? All right. So we've got visual and rope. That's a tough one. What do you think, Jack?
So visual enrichment that you can do with rope. You could, if I'm going to cheat a little bit, the idea that I did with the fringe knotting paper on the outside of a cage, you could use a rope toy to block part of your bird's view. You could, if your bird has a play stand, positioning rope toys, rope perches, so that your bird is going to be somewhere different. They're going to have a different view. They're going to see different things. So that there's each of the categories, there's a couple of different ways that you can think about it. Each of the materials, there's a couple of different ways that you can think about it. Because you could use, if you're mentioning rope, I would say you could use sisal rope. I would say you could use cotton rope. You could use a cotton perch. You could use a boing. All of those are options. So try to think of different things.
And
I wasn't prepared for that one though.
I'm sorry. I think too, you need to, if you're going to play this game, you're going to roll the dice, then you need to not beat yourself up about stuff. If you can't figure one out, roll them again.
Well, and so technically, what Miho was doing would have been like it's something new attached to a piece of rope. And this is why we like to go through these exercises with you guys, because not only am I familiar with this idea, Robin and I were talking about this 15 minutes ago, and yeah, it had completely blanked across my mind. And I mean, obviously, that is a wonderful form of enrichment for that bird. You can see it's enjoying it. So, Just think of different things like that, and don't beat yourself up too hard. I mean, the goal is to make this fun and enjoyable for you and the bird.
Absolutely. All right. So you guys get this idea. You can structure it however you want. It's just a fun way to randomize for anybody that's working with a big flock, like Jack was saying. And I've used it with zoos before. It's just a way to kind of get out of a rut. And it's fun for you too. And it lets Tracy use those Dungeons and Dragons dice. So, I mean, I think it's a win-win situation. The another kind of fun game thing that we wanted to talk about was trick training. So trick training gets a bad rap. People are like, oh, it's not, trick training is not worthwhile, blah, blah, blah. As far as I'm concerned, training is fun. It makes you look great with your friends because they come over and they go, make your bird do that really cool thing. So first of all, you need to tell them you can't make them do anything, but you can show it. You can ask them to do something. And it gets that interaction. So you can also use trick training for husbandry. So some of the things we talked about the retrieve, these guys, these kayaks were at a bird show that I saw in St. Thomas, and they were doing so it was basically an A to B because they were going from one basket to another, and then it was a retrieve because they were getting the ball back, and it was also a release because they were putting the ball through the hoop. So the nice thing about this one is great if you've got a bird that needs to release something that they shouldn't have. If you teach this behavior, you train this behavior, and they go back and forth and they learn how to drop the ball on cue, or if that little hoop makes them drop something. If you've got a bird that's got something in their mouth that they shouldn't have, you either use that cue or you bring that little hoop over, and you've got a good chance that they'll drop it. So what do you think about that, Jack?
Yeah, I think object retrieve. So first of all, I cannot call anything a trick. I have worked in zoos for far too long. Trick can have a negative connotation. So for me, everything is a behavior, because a behavior sounds better and fancier, even though it is technically the exact same thing. I think it's important to point out that for some people, they'll think if you're, oh, I've taught my animal to do all of these tricks. It might seem like you're forcing them to do something. You're making them do something they're not supposed to do. They wouldn't do. You can't train an animal to do something that it wouldn't do on its own. If an animal is not capable of doing it, you can't teach them to do that. So that you're never going to teach an elephant to jump rope because elephants can't jump. So, it's not going to happen. Object retrieval, I think, is a wonderful behavior because there's so many different aspects to it. It's go to get an item, bring it to you, release the item. When I worked with elephants, it was often used when a child would lose a shoe in the exhibit because otherwise, if we were going to go in and get that shoe, you would have to move all of the elephants off exhibit to then go in and get it. Whereas if you can ask an elephant to go get that shoe, bring it here, they're going to want something in exchange for it. But it's usually not that, that ridiculous an item. An elephant can't eat a shoe, so I can trade half an apple, get a child's shoe back. The elephant had mental stimulation. I can guarantee you that father, that child that got to see that interaction had the best trip they are ever going to have at the zoo. I'm not telling you that so that you put your children's shoes into exhibits. Please don't do that. But object retrieval is a wonderful behavior.
It definitely, and we use it a lot with primates as well. Because stuff always gets tossed into the gorilla habitat, and it's really, fun. People think to watch that gorilla try to put that shoe on, but if you can teach a retrieve and you can teach a release, then it's a win-win situation. And the other thing is a toss behavior. So if you can get a bird to kind of toss something back to you, to get these things, and it's just that slight toss. I'm working with another client who is working on building her relationship with her macaw, and she's got him, he'll grab a like a puff ball, made of, it looks like it's probably coffee filters. He grabs it, she makes a big deal out of woohoo, good job, and then he throws it to her, and that's another big woohoo. And they've got this wonderful relationship going, and it's so exciting to see. So for me, as someone who's doing the consulting, I love watching her face. And it's fetch. Exactly, Lori. That's the way to, you can play fetch, you can play toss, whatever that may be. But as a trainer, watching that happen, and then I know for her, when he interacts with her like that, it's a very positive experience. And that's what we're looking for.
Well, and I know
So,
some people, if they have a new bird, if they have a bird that they can't interact with as well, it can be a little bit of a challenge to find things. So I would
mhm.
say, if we go back to Patricia's suggestion, utilizing protected contact, if you get your target stick, you can do A to B training, getting your bird just to go back and forth, reward them with one of their favorite food items as they complete each of those behaviors. It's a great way for you to build that trust, build that relationship. You're not asking for anything terribly difficult. Your bird is able to figure out what you want very easily, and they learn that you are the provider of all of this fun, all of these food items. Like, you are the most wonderful thing in the world. So that can definitely help build your relationship with a new bird, with a bird that maybe it has some behavioral issues, maybe it bites a little bit. Protected contact, simple behaviors, easy way to build that relationship.
I thought you were going to go with the toss behavior you can do with protected contact as well. So, if you've got a ball, you toss it in through the cage bars, the bird goes and gets it, brings it back. So you've got a little bucket, you hold that outside, the bird drops it in. You can very easily translate that into, we're playing basketball, whatever you want to call it. But it's protected. So it's not, if you've got a bird that doesn't maybe want to be out interacting with you that way, or isn't comfortable, you read the body language and it says, no, I really don't want to come out of the cage today. Then, okay, so this is what you do. You can still interact through those cage bars, and have it be a positive, very positive situation. So those are some of the behaviors you can do they're fun to do. They've got that interaction involved. Training is wonderfully enriching, regardless of what you're doing. It's still enriching. It can be frustrating at times, and I'm not going to tell you there haven't been times when I've hit a plateau, yeah, and gone, what do you mean I have to go back some approximations? Why do I have to do that? But it's still really great for building trust, building your relationship with your birds. There's another game, jar. So Susan has jar lids for her Senegal. I have seen Susan's Senegal do this, and it's absolutely adorable. So just spinning that jar lid, running around with it. But I've watched Susan interact, and it's the most positive experience. It's just fun to see the relationship that she has built with this bird. And it's a simple thing, just so simple, but it's that interaction. So very cool. Thank you for sharing that, Susan. So there's one more game we want to talk about. We want to talk about the towel game. So toweling, if we can, Jack, do you want to explain what's going on with Widget here?
Sure. Well, and here, if we, so we're practicing playing with a towel, because if it's necessary to go to the vet may need to restrain your bird in a towel. So I actually start this game when I am hand feeding my birds. We start by playing a game I like to call Squish the Bird. Basically, it is, my hands are going to touch you. There's going to be light pressure. Obviously, nothing traumatic. You can see Widget is very, very calm. I actually Part of why I cut the audio was so that we could talk over this and explain what's happening. Part of it is I am very high energy, baby talking, excited with the bird while all this is happening. So you guys can see all of the different steps that would go into shaping that behavior. I start with my hands. When the bird is comfortable with that, I let them see the towel. When they see the towel and they're not scared, and if you have a bird that has been toweled aggressively before, if they've developed a fear of the towel, sometimes that can take some work to get them so they're not afraid of the towel. But you can see Widget doesn't react at all. I put it over him, no reaction at all, because this is something he's gotten used to. We can do this regularly. Sometimes I've told you guys about my coffee training sessions. I like to do a training session with my bird every morning while my coffee is brewing. Sometimes this is what we do. And I tried to show you guys the order that I would be building this. So you see, it gets to a point where Widget will step up onto the towel. He'll be in the center of the towel. I can wrap the towel around him, completely calm, completely normal for him. That this is just part of what his human does. And whether or not he thinks his human is a little bit weird, this is a fun, exciting part of our relationship. And it's really easy to do. So I definitely encourage you guys to try to think of towel training as a game. Because you can build that relationship, you can build your animal's comfort with a towel, with being restrained, being, having a little bit of pressure, and it's all still fun and enjoyable. You can see Widget is a willing participant in this whole setup. One
I
thing I
think
do
too,
want to
Jack.
point out. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I'm sure you were going to the same place I was.
Okay, so I do this training with my bird because I want him to be calm around a variety of things. I can tell you when I was recording this video clip, Widget did not care remotely about the towel. He was a little bit more interested in the tripod and the camera that was watching him. So, exposing an animal to new things, just keep that in mind. Sometimes that can be a little bit scary. Sometimes that can be a little bit challenging. I train birds to do this because I have been in situations where I need to rapidly grab up birds, move them. If there's a building on fire, if there is a tornado, an imminent flood, a hurricane, natural disasters like that, training your bird to, in a perfect world, all of our birds would be trained to, when I say go, everybody goes to their travel cage and they lock the door behind them. But that doesn't necessarily happen. And especially if you have a natural disaster happening, if scary things are happening, if there's, high winds, if there's lightning, because I don't know if you guys can tell as I bring up all of these things, hurricanes are a pretty normal, but still fairly traumatic for me issue. The bird can be a little bit stressed in that situation, so it may not behave as you would expect. It may not behave the way that you have trained it. By doing a game like this, you have at least gotten your bird used to those things, so it knows that this isn't terrible. But at the end of the day, for me, if I need to be able to tell a bird to restrain them, to move them, moving a bird is going to be the more important part. I would say there's a point if you are dealing with something like a natural disaster situation, you need to prioritize what's important. And sometimes it is keeping your animal alive rather than doing it exactly the way that they want it to be done. And I say this because I have been in situations where I have not been able to move animals as easily. I have lost animals to natural disasters, and I don't want you guys to be in that situation because it's not a good
Right.
situation.
No, it's not. And I think, we would love to do everything with consent, but there are times when, if it's a matter of life or death, if it's a matter of, that consent may fall by the wayside. And it's not about, oh, well, I just don't care. It's more about, I care so much that this is what's going to have to happen right now. And I'll build that trust relationship back up again. I'll go right back to playing that towel game. I'll go right back to, working on crate training. But if something comes up in the meantime and you just can't do that, that is reality on some levels, and you've got to kind of go with that. And I think too, it's, it may not work with everybody's bird like it worked with Widget. You want to play that towel game. You want to work on that. You want to, make sure that it's a comfortable situation, but you've also got to be aware that different birds are all going to react differently. We saw Melanie toweling Ollie a couple weeks ago, and I will tell you, Melanie cut the audio out of her clip that she did. Ollie was chit-chatting with her the whole time. And it was done in a different way, but Ollie was okay, here it goes. This is what we're doing. Is it more fun to do it as a game? Is it less stressful to do it as a game? Absolutely. But it's different in every setting. So you just have to be kind of aware of it may not work just like this for your bird, but give it a shot. It's definitely worth training this and playing this game, and it's fun to it's a fun game to play with them too. So okay.
Mention that trust account. I think it's important. All of the games, all of the enrichment, the fun that we're talking about, these are so important. They build that relationship up. Obviously, we want you guys to have as many, debits into your trust account as possible. You want to have that fun, that enjoyment, that excitement. If you need to, if there is a hurricane coming and you have to, grab a bird to put them in their cage, that's going to pull from that trust account. So you do have to think about those sorts of things. So, hey, if it means you're not going to drown in a flood, yes, maybe that is worth it. If it's, hey, it's Monday and I want you to come out of your cage, I wouldn't say it's worth it in that situation. So you need to take a look at your setup, work on building that relationship with your birds. And I mean, honestly, Robin and I didn't know how we were going to come up with as many sessions as we have done so far. And you guys keep providing us with challenges, with questions. So if you guys can't figure something out, if you're stuck, if you've hit a plateau, reach out to us, let us know. Obviously, we do consultations and things like that, but it also may just be a session that we need to do a live stream on because other people may have that question as well.
Absolutely. And Nick suggested it, a vet visit, so if you're preparing for a vet visit and you've got that time and you can do that kind of, game prior to, awesome. If it's an emergency vet visit, it may not happen that way. It may not go that smoothly. So you just got to weigh the situation and know, what's realistic. We want things to go smoothly, and it would be great if you could, there was a video, Helen Dishaw had a wonderful video of, her bird coming out of the enclosure, stepping up on the scale, and then going into the crate and shutting the door. Yeah, that's amazing. And it would be great but I guarantee you that doesn't happen every single time. And so it's really about being realistic with what your expectations are. So, all right. So lots of fun in games. We could go on and on and on. There's so many really cool ways to interact with your birds. But so we've got a little bit different trivia this week. And the trivia is going to be, so the prize is a Leather Elves t-shirt. Let's see. So Nick, can we start our new game? So it's name the bird. The first person to identify the bird wins a t-shirt, and you just have to message me after the live stream and let me know what size you need. All right, here we go.
So an important thing for us, Nick picks the winner. So make sure that you write your name into the chat, or write the name of the bird into the chat. Nick will pick that winner based on the timestamp. So if you do not win, it is not me and Robin's fault.
Jack, you're not dancing. It's a flying bird.
Okay, so it's a mostly, or at least it's the wings are greenish. It has black beaks.
It's zygodactyl.
Oh, well.
No. Oh. All right, we have a winner. Next, Joanna Rodney.
Yes.
No winner yet.
Megan, like this. All right, come on, guys, you can do this.
I think that would probably work. Although so it wasn't spelled correctly.
We're letting Nick.
We got one.
Oh, we got
one.
Yeah, Joanna corrected.
Okay.
Oh, Joanna, good job.
Oh, she corrected. Okay.
Yeah, spelling counts. Come on, you guys.
Well, and that's one of those where I thought, look, okay, it's not spelled correctly, but also there's nothing else it would have been.
Well, and Joanna owns a wonderful bird store, Bird Fever, in Indianapolis, and so I would have to hold Joanna to that higher standard. So congratulations, Joanna. Just let me know what size shirt you would like, and we can negotiate, because I think you've got a shirt or two at your house. So we can negotiate that. So. All right, we didn't hit 50, did we, Nick?
Not quite, no.
Okay, all right. You guys keep bringing those friends. We did.
Yeah.
So we're getting there, you guys, and we so appreciate you bringing your friends and talking to people, and it's so exciting to have new bird owners on, and seasoned bird owners, so you can share, and it's really exciting to see those numbers go up. It's very reinforcing for us. We want to remind about the conference, and like I said, there's I think we have a QR code to sign up. Oh, Joanna's being sweet, and she said to give it to the next person that called it.
I think that would be Adrian Mock.
All right, Adrian. Get with me and let me know what size. All right. So the conference, the speakers for the conference, we have a lot of really cool people lined up. In fact, we've got Dr. Susan Clubb, Elves from Zoomarine in Portugal. We've got Hilla Niemann from Germany. She's and I will not even try to pronounce her consulting group. Dr. Patricia Anderson, who is on with us tonight, Danny Larson from Southwick Zoo, and yours truly, Jack, and I will both be doing sessions, and we will also be doing workshops, hands-on workshops. So all of that is available. The QR code is there. We would love to have all of you guys join us. It's we're really excited about it. We've been doing the online stuff. I know a lot of you have signed up. We've been doing the online stuff, and you have been wonderfully supportive of us. And we hope that this can give back a little bit. We can offer you some people from around the globe that you might not be able to see if we were in person. So, Jack, anything to add to that?
Well, I don't know if we were supposed to officially announce it, but I'm gonna. So as you mentioned, the idea of giving back. So one of the things that Robin and I talked about as something that was very important to us, we wanted to make sure that this conference, as you guys sign up for it, part of it is giving back to the avian community. So we did want to let you guys know that a portion of the proceeds from the conference will be going to the Georgia Fletcher Memorial Scholarship Fund. Georgia Fletcher was a wonderful aviculturist, a great friend. Robin and I both, so many fun stories. A really good person. Sorry, I always have a hard time. I lose words. Now, the Memorial Scholarship Fund in her name goes to a veterinary student studying aviculture. So, the fund helps to remember a incredible aviculturist, but it also goes to support aviculture moving forward. So I think it's a wonderful thing to contribute to.
And it's, she was very passionate about education, and she was very passionate about the veterinary profession. And so it's through the Quaker Parakeet Society. They do this scholarship fund. And so we're just going to, donate towards that scholarship fund, so that I know last year they gave 2 scholarships away. And it really, it helps the students move a little bit, further through it's not cheap to become a vet. So it really helps with that. And it also, honors a woman that, like Jack said, so many people were fond of, and we would really like to honor her. So that's a piece of that. All right. Next week's topic is going to be recovering an escaped bird and recall training. So it's springtime. Honest to God, there's no snow out there anymore. And so we are going to work on helping you guys with recall training. Anybody that tells me that their bird can't fly because it's clipped, I'm going to tell you that's not true. And the other thing is, well, my bird is used to flying. Well, what happens when that little, thermal catches your bird and all of a sudden it's 4 streets away? So those are the kind of things that we're going to talk about next week, and, how to do that, how to recover an escaped bird if you happen to end up in that really unfortunate situation. And with the time of year, windows are open, doors are being open. It's, spring break, the kids are in and out. So a lot goes into why this is an important topic for this time of year. So thank you again, guys, for joining us. We really, really enjoy doing this for you and with you. We couldn't do it if you guys didn't make the comments, didn't, make the suggestions and help each other out. It's really cool to see you going back and forth in the chat. So thank you again, and have a wonderful week. You take care, Jack. I'll see you next week.